Hi everyone, this is Fusho with Illustrious Media. Hope you're having a great evening, and welcome to the channel where we talk about entertainment, tech, and design, and a bit about the future. And today I want to talk about this news story that came out regarding Dae Kim, who's the actor, about how for the first time since he started acting for 31 years, he's got his own his first leading role in a TV show. In Hollywood. Okay, so headline on Screen Rant is Dae Kim gets first leading show role after 31 years in TV, and this is a gentleman right here, and you probably I'm familiar with him in some of his past roles, like in Lost or Hawaii Five-0, and he was there for several seasons before he stepped off because in protest, along with the other Asian actress, on the show for basically the pay discrepancy between him and the white co-stars. So, and props him for standing up for himself and saying like, okay, we'd rather walk than to take this disparity in pay. Now, I'm not here to argue the point on that, but just to give you a real gist of the news story. First of all, congratulations to this actor. He's really hustled and ground a long time in Hollywood to be here. And it basically is just talking about the show that he's going to start on with, I think, National Geographic. It's called The Hot Zone, which, film Variety reports Kim will take the lead in The Hot Zone, Anthrax, an anthology series on the National Geographic channel. This will be a follow-up season to season 1 of The Hot Zone, which starred Juliana Margulies and was National Geographic's most watched scripted series of all time. So filming on The Hot Zone is expected to begin later this year, and the premiere date is yet to be announced. Kim will play Matthew Riker, an FBI agent. Oh, that's a nice change of pace. Because I thought, I thought for a split second that there was, okay, did they stereotypically give him the role of doctor, even though it's a leading role? But no, he's an FBI agent with a specialty in microbiology. Okay, so. The link in the story is down below, and you can check it out, but I'm not going to belabor, the news here. So first thing, congratulations to this actor. And initially, I didn't think this was going to be worth a video, but, as I saw the reactions coming in from Twitter, especially from Asian Americans working in the business, in the entertainment industry, as well as a few, recent conversations I have with friends and also across social media, I thought, it occurred to me that this whole thing, especially with the length of time, that they kept bringing up, which is 31 years, is a teachable moment for Asian Americans working in the entertainment media industry today, and not for the reasons you might think. Okay, so let's look through some of the social media reactions on Twitter. Jin Yoon, congratulations on Korean Day, and then there's some other ones. Basically, quite a few. Let me just scroll through. Okay, this is so deserved. Bravo. And a reminder is a marathon, not a sprint. And so this is from Sugith Rungis, Canadian guy, I think. Huge news, good news. Lots of congratulations. Lots of people talking about the grind and how long it took. Well done, well deserved. Beautifully diverse Asian actors in more lead roles, please. Okay. So firstly, to make clear, I am not here to water down, disrespect, discount, or take away from what Dae Kim and many other Asian actors, actresses, and filmmakers like him have achieved or have had to contend with throughout their careers in Hollywood. Not here to do that at all. Again, congratulations, awesome. He stuck it through. He's got this lead role. Great. However, I want to put these struggles and past being the operative word here, incremental improvements in the proper context as relates to the entertainment media market globally today, going forward into the future. Again, the past versus the present into the future, and Hollywood, North America versus the world globally going forward. And make no mistake, the nature of entertainment media and who are in control of global cultural and media projection is rapidly changing hands and shifting in terms of where the pole and the gravity is. And it's shifting from Hollywood and North America to the Asia Pacific. And audiences everywhere are becoming natively global. I'm going to be using this term quite often, okay? And you'll see what I mean by that. Basically, it means native audiences across the world are getting on the same page for the same brands and the big content going forward. Unlike before, where you have certain kind of brands that definitely cropped up from North America and then projected across the world. Now, everybody on new brands and new IPs, especially in the video game world, they're on the same page like natively. They don't need, it's not an export situation anymore. Now, this was 10 or 20 years ago. This wouldn't, this would just simply be a great, inspiring story, and I will leave it at that. It wouldn't, what I'm about to say would not be in play, okay? But it's 2021, and the entertainment media industry is very different going forward. We're in the midst of a seismic shift in terms of how the poles and positioning and influence centers are coming about in this year going forward. And the timetable is getting crunched. So right away, I want to warn against the urge to take this 30-year grind or similar timetable as a model for Asian Americans and Asians in general to follow in the year 2021. There tends to be a tendency among Asian Americans to simply worship one famous Asian person's success without critically examining the times, social conditions, and imagination surrounding that person's journey and process. 31 years is a long time, okay? Not only has a lot changed, but the pace of change in entertainment media is only increasing. And it's definitely no longer dictated by the Hollywood elite. As in, what you see going on here in North American Hollywood is not necessarily the speed and the rapidity of what's actually happening. And what I'm really trying to say is it's actually going a lot faster. And given the speed of transition in the now global entertainment media environment, being able to critically and accurately gauge the conditions of 2021 could mean, going forward, could mean the difference between riding this wave of change to maximum effect or completely missing it and playing catch up for the next 10 years. While those who have this awareness of gauging these factors lock down the market with the right approach and content. So I'm using very specific words in very specific ways, okay, and I'm hoping you can catch on. Part of becoming successful is being able to adjust your sights, your goals, your imagination, and expectations for what's possible as times and conditions change, or the level or direction of struggle necessary in order to achieve a certain goal. Or, even more importantly, what types of goals to set. Now, over the course of my life, I've had many people, including my parents, try to dissuade me from setting big goals or asking that I check my expectations and ambitions because they're afraid that I might get disappointed, or I'm too unrealistic, or because they're insecure about their position in relation to my ambitions. Now, this latter point is more towards peers. And time after time, I've proved these people wrong, whatever their motivations, and realized that a large part of success is just having the awareness of the present and near future realities and possibilities that lies before me. And I've had several recent exchanges and conversations with friends and people on social media that seems to fetishize the struggle or time and grind for the sake of the grind, instead of waking up to the reality that the obstacles they obsessed over because of what they've seen achieved and done by certain people before them may not be relevant or even exist going forward. That doesn't mean, obviously, things are going to be easy. It just means that you need to adjust as the things change going forward. So how does it relate to Daniel Dae Kim's case? Well, simply, just because Daniel Dae Kim had to grind for 30 years, doing things a certain way along a certain timetable that was necessary for him, doesn't mean young Asian American filmmakers and people who are trying to make it or building their entertainment careers or who are looking to build a sustainable foundation for Asian representation needs to or should do the same today. The field that is open for Asians everywhere today is not a condition that was available to Dae Kim when he was starting out, or for the majority of his career. You have free content distribution now across the world to build a multitude of, across the world in a multitude of platforms to build your brand and audience, and to take the revenue you generate and fund your own narrative projects and creative IPs. A very simple analogy would be if you're traveling in the 1850s, the expectation of being able to travel certain distances or long distances will factor into the modes of transport of the time, and your plans and goals and activities would be adjusted accordingly. In 2021, these expectations are extremely different because the modes of transport that we have now are very different. The present conditions have changed, and what I've witnessed, what I've seen still, is that many Asian Americans have not acknowledged this fact, this reality, in this global entertainment marketplace. But other people, especially in the Asia Pacific, other companies, other creators and storytellers have locked onto. Where Dae Kim has finally managed to open his own production company and garner his first leading role after 30 years of working as an actor in North American Hollywood, Asian Americans like myself are setting up shop to create completely original stories and IPs from the get-go without necessarily proving ourselves to Hollywood. Because we know that Hollywood is the middleman and not the customer. And access to the customer is free and open. We just got to deliver the content. Now, what I said here, again, isn't to throw shade at Dae Kim. Okay? I'm here to show you, okay, the critical differences between what he's had to deal with and his time and what people today can get out of, and what opportunities are open to people today. So once again, entertainment media is fast becoming natively global. And the global audience is no longer under the exclusive access of Hollywood elites. Now, they do have certain advantages in certain respects, and in later videos I'll go over those. But right now, I want everyone watching this to understand just the night and day difference between what is going on now, what the conditions on the ground now, 2020, 2021 going forward versus years back, years past. So this is the real crux of what I'm trying to say, okay, is that Dae Kim's struggles, while valid in their own right and should not be diminished, do not need to be yours going forward into 2021. The best example I can think of to draw this contrast and just time scale difference, okay, of Dae Kim's own journey through Hollywood and North America as an actor to get to where he is today versus the skyrocketing influence of K-pop and BTS, Korea pop, and its effect on the collective Western perception of Asian men and masculinity. The difference in terms of how quickly he got to where he is versus how quickly they shot up in influence is extremely telling. Why did it take Dae Kim 30 years to get the leading role in a Hollywood TV show, but BTS and K-pop stars less than a decade to make a much larger impact in North America? Again, not throwing shade, just pointing out just the disparity in reality. And why have Asian Americans who hold a sizable presence in entertainment media across all roles and levels in Hollywood, with the exception of on-screen talent possibly, in the West, not been able to, or maybe not allowed to, have not been allowed to create media content to this same effect as K-pop or BTS for all these decades? We've been here for quite some time, and yet it took a full-on Korean foreign export to have a much larger impact on Asian, especially Asian male representation. These are tough questions on the validity of Hollywood's elitist frame in the context of an increasingly natively global audience. Now, the points I made may not have been expressed, in the most perfect, clear way, and but I want to get this video out quickly, okay? But I think, and I hope, they'll make you think. They'll make you think about how valid lengthy struggles are versus maybe the landscape is different now. We don't have to deal with all that shit and wait that long. Maybe we're not seeing something as Asian Americans, the true possibilities. Maybe we're still riding the horse and buggy thinking that the dirt road we're on is the only one available. But the reality is that there's a freeway and supercars available to us as well, and we just don't see it. And we just don't realize that we have the damn keys in our pockets. So to those Asian Americans looking to Daniel Dae Kim's career as an example to follow without thinking critically about the conditions that he had to work with versus what we have now, do not be the 2021 version of Blockbuster Video while many others, like me, are thinking and acting like Netflix in their early days. Blockbuster Videos is decades of existence and market expertise when Netflix was just a fledgling startup meant absolutely nothing in the end. Irrelevant. The market doesn't give a shit. The global market gives even less of a shit. Again, not throwing shade at Daniel Dae Kim, but I want to yank many Asian Americans who are stuck in this old mentality by the collar and just twitch your neck and say, look. In fact, is this adherence to an old vision, that's what ultimately killed Blockbuster. So in 2021, do not set your imagination, timetable, or goals and ambitions and expectations to the macro and micro conditions of Daniel Dae Kim's career over the past 30 years. Take inspiration from his tenacity and work ethic, but project your own strategy and vision and ambitions in accordance to the actual global market conditions of today going forward 2021. And why do I keep emphasizing global? Just a few months back, an acting teacher in an Asian American actor group said, or maybe it was a year ago, said that the China and Asia market has nothing to do with us. And enter Exhibit A. What is this? This is Lucasfilm, Disney, Star Wars, and also Marvel, by the way, just not in the story, going over to China, and Tencent, the owners of WeChat, and one of the biggest, the biggest web novel publishing platform and IP owner in China, going over there and working with their authors to write a Chinese Star Wars novel to build that brand organically, because it didn't work when they tried to throw the movies there, years ago. So Hollywood may not even want to admit it, and they may not talk about it in terms I'm talking about it, like explicitly, and they still want to be seen and viewed by the world as much as they can hang on to it as a default frame. As the frame and the gatekeepers that everybody's got to go through to get their content out to be validated or considered good, or major, or the big thing, especially Asian Americans or minorities here. Now, but make no mistake, they understand, they know entertainment media is becoming natively global. And they're positioning themselves with moves like this one to rake the benefits. But the good news is that they're no longer, Hollywood itself is no longer the big table, the biggest table. They're now just another player, a big player, at the biggest table, which is anchored by the Asia Pacific, because that market dwarfs North America and the rest of the world. And the good news is that there's no one keeping anybody from that table. That table's open. Anybody can put in and play. You may need to build your own chair, okay? But it's not walled off to you. There's not a gatekeeper there in the way that there is in Hollywood still. So make no mistake, entertainment media is becoming natively global. And Asians make up the largest consumer base with an ever-increasing purchasing power. The Asia Pacific and Asian creators are already seeking to take a dominant position in this global market. Once again, without concerning themselves, and I'm talking about Asians in Asia, without concerning themselves with Hollywood's validation or approval. unlike many Asian Americans still. They're going full speed for the customer, all of them. And if Asians in the West do not understand this and do not do the same, we will be left behind. Hollywood understands this, and they're already moving to adjust, like I just showed you, with Star Wars and Tencent. And they're already doing the same with Marvel. And Asian Americans run the risk of getting left behind or out of a prime position as an equal player at this table where Hollywood is just another player. Asian Americans can claim a spot here if we move, if we get to work right now. Can claim a spot to be equal to, not subservient to, Hollywood's own needs and agenda. We can compete. Again, I emphasize, creators and companies of the Asia Pacific that Hollywood is desperately marketing their biggest brands to are not waiting for approval from white Hollywood elites, largely white, to dominate going forward. Can you really afford to? I hope y'all really get what I'm saying. And I've been trying to be explicit and detailed as I can. But right now is a very exciting time. Right now, I think any Asian American still complaining, whining, or throwing up their hands and lamenting at the current state of affairs, at least as regards to opportunities in entertainment, you are now wasting time. Because the time you spend, the energy you spend complaining, calling attention, raising awareness. I'm not saying your complaints are not valid. I'm not invalidating them. I'm just telling you, be practical. Look at it practically. What should you be spending your time on? The way is open, the field is open, that table is open for you to step on and be an equal player. That won't be the case for long. You have, I think, a window of 3 years. I used to think it was longer than that, but I think it's now 3 years is being generous because China has already overtaken Hollywood. I mean, North America has the biggest market, and COVID had a role to play, but all that did was hasten the inevitable. In Asia Pacific, they think, the people there, because of the pace of change, they think faster, they project faster, they have a wider imagination of what's possible and how to apply these creative technologies that are cheaper and more widely available than ever before. When you drive on the freeway and you're doing 70 miles an hour and someone's passing you, by the time they get neck to neck with you, bumper to bumper with you, they're already going faster. That's what I'm trying to say. So I hope you get a lot out of this thing, and I will be elaborating on these points going forward even more. Haven't been posting as much because I've been focused on building the business side of Illustrious Media, and a lot of exciting stuff to show you down the line. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Congratulations to Dae Kim. Very excited to see what he brings up, in this role, and also from his production company, which is definitely the right direction. All right, thank you all for joining me tonight, and y'all have a safe week. Bye.